So, Paul, what are your expectations for Cooper in Dallas?
You know what? I have very high expectations for Cooper Flagg. Because think about this. I've watched him since he was in AAU basketball, probably since the 10th grade. He's lived up to expectations everywhere he's gone. Every level. High school, top player. Duke, college, top player. And his game, it translates. You know what I'm saying? It's not one certain skill set that I can say he's like better than the other, because I think he does everything pretty much well. He shoots the ball. He's great at defense. He can slash. He can come off the pick and roll. He can make plays. He's a lob threat. He's athletic. Man, sky's the limit for this kid. So whatever role he plays in the Dallas, he will thrive in it. So in saying all of that, my expectations for him, I think he's a lock for Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to help Dallas push for a playoff spot. And his ceiling as a rookie, he can actually be an all-star his rookie year. That's how good this kid is, because if he's pushing the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs, him and Anthony Davis are going to be a big part of that. And I think with his skill set, he'll become a fan favorite. He'll become Dallas's very own, somebody they can cuddle since the loss of Luka. And that can push him into the bright lights. So I've loved what he's done up until this point. Now he gets to prove it on the big stage. And so I have high hopes and expectations for Cooper Flagg.
He'll hit the ground running because it's the right fit for him, right? Paul mentioned playoff spot, all-star at the same time. So that means that they're probably going to get into the playoffs. If he becomes an all-star, you got Anthony Davis, who'll most likely be an all-star. Yep. And then once they get Kyrie back, who will be a second-half all-star, now you got 3 all-star players on the team. That's playoffs right there. That should be the playoffs immediately. You know what he's capable of doing. He's been doing it, like Paul said, his entire career. No matter what level, he's been the guy at every single level. Now, because it's the NBA, it's a little bit of a learning curve. But as I said yesterday, just watching him in the summer play against Team USA last summer and do what he did against them, those are all NBA all-star, future Hall of Fame type players. And for him to be able to get buckets and do the things he did against them, imagine the assault that he could potentially have on the rest of the league as a rookie. And he's going to learn. He got a great coach in Jason Kidd right there. He's got great mentors in terms of players that'll be there. They'll eventually sign somebody at the point guard position, whether it's D'Angelo Russell or Chris Paul. Somebody will be there as a veteran that he can still learn under until Kyrie comes back. So for him, you know, Rookie of the Year, the ceiling's way up there, though. I mean, it'll be interesting to see him on the floor. I'm excited to see him, and I'm never excited about the Dallas Mavericks.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, for sure. And I do believe that because he has the capability, unlike a lot of #1 picks and top rookies, he has the ability to play off the ball. And so I think that he'll fit well and he'll be able to come in right away and have an impact. I don't know that the numbers are going to be big in any one category. I could see him filling a box score and having numbers in a lot of different categories, but not necessarily 20 and 12, right? But I do...
What are good numbers for a rookie?
Chet Holmgren was 16 and 8, and for the better part of the year before Wemby came on at the end, people were talking about Chet as being a Rookie of the Year candidate. So if he was averaging, I don't know. The difficulty is that you do have AD there. Depending on who the point guard is, D'Angelo Russell is going to take up shots and points if he's there. Chris Paul less so. I'm not really worried about that. I think, honestly, defense is probably going to be his calling card. How hard he plays, and at the defensive end, I think he's going to be surprisingly good for a rookie, because that's usually where the learning curve is. So I don't want to put necessarily numbers on it or some big expectation, because I think a lot of it has to do with how good the Dallas Mavericks are collectively.
He has a great motor.
He has a great motor, which
A great motor?
Great motor.
First one in, last one out.
Is that a shot at you?
No.
Joy?
No. He's just a smart player. He knows how to play.
Okay. Got it. Now, All-Star, the thing is, if they have an All-Star, AD gets first cut, right?
Yeah. Oh, he'll get, for sure.
And are the Dallas Mavericks going to be so good that they'll warrant having 2 All-Stars? That would be That would be the
When was
question.
the last
And they
time
generally
he
don't
was?
give all-star to rookies. So I think that's setting the bar a little high for him. But other than that, Rookie of the Year and being a contributor and possibly making them not only a playoff team, but I think depending on when Kyrie comes back, a dark horse contender. I think that's all a possibility. I love his attitude. I love his
His attitude. No, I'm just saying, I like what you're
His
saying.
motor, his attitude.
I like what Rick is
High
saying.
energy.
Go ahead, high energy. Go ahead, Rick.
He's been this way his entire career.
Go ahead, Rick. You said it.
Yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
Joy, help me out here.
He said he wants to be a sponge. I like that.
Sponge. Very smart.
No, I do.
You guys are so bad.
Great basketball IQ.
He's a great player. He's a great player. I do hesitate to get too crazy with the expectations of such a young player in the NBA. When we forget that they are so young going into the NBA.
19.
But he's
18.
Yeah,
But he's one of the.
Hadn't even turned 19 yet.
But he's one of
Yes.
the 18, 19-year-old kids that seem to be different, though.
No, for sure. I think he's going to be a tremendous player.
He's very mature.
He's
He's very mature. Played a lot of basketball. Yeah, he's played a lot of basketball,
mature.
Joy.
It took me a second, but I'm
Coachable.
there with you now.
Very coachable. He went to Duke. Right.
still 18. So, Paul, you were how old when you came into the league?
I was 20.
So
Yeah.
I always say this with NBA players, particularly right now because they are so young coming into the league, that the development in your body as an 18-year-old man to a 20, 21-year-old man is dramatic.
Yeah.
And we talk about the, guys with the beards in the NFL and the trucks and the the car seats in the back, but the NBA has that too.
Yes.
There's just a difference in your
More.
body and the physicality of playing at an NBA level.
Yeah.
And obviously you're adding a tremendous amount of a longer season as well.
Yeah. But even more so, I think, with basketball, because you can come in at 18, 19.
Right.
And you really can't
Like
do
the
that in
dramatic.
football.
Man, that's a great point.
You don't.
Because I was ready to come out of the NBA. I could have got drafted after my freshman year. I was 18. But the reason I didn't, I just said I'm physically not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed to get back
bigger
in the
and
program,
stronger,
get
yeah.
stronger and all of that. That's why I stayed a couple more years. Because mentally and physically, I wasn't there.
Yeah. But,
Yeah,
but he seems to
But he's there. But
be
the players now are more.
mature beyond his years.
Yeah, and mentally, I'm not concerned about that, and physically, I'm not really either. I just think that Rookie of the Year is a welcome expectation for a player of his caliber. I think we're also kind of skewing the situation a bit because we have expectations of Dallas because of the roster, the coaching, and what they've done over the past couple years with Luka, and now adding him into that scenario and situation, we're raising the expectations for him. I think he's going to have an impact, but to say that he is going to be or should have the responsibility as an 18, 19-year-old to come into the Dallas Mavericks and push them into contention, that's a heavy cross to bear.
No, I think he can contribute. And I think because he can fit with those other guys and contribute is what I like about him giving them a boost. Because here's the other part. It's not just like they have a big three with Kyrie, AD, and Coop. You got PJ Washington, who is a good player. The Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford combination at 5. Klay Thompson coming off the bench.
This is the thing about those players you talk about. They're like
Forgot about Clay.
they need a conductor
at this point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like the band that needs a conductor. Those players. And that make.
Do you think that's him?
He might be pushed in that position.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Early.
Okay.
Because think about Clay and think about Lively. Their games. Like Clay's a catch and shoot guy. He doesn't use a lot of dribbles. Lively's a lob threat. Like they need somebody to kind of set them up.
See, that's why I think that's why I prefer Chris Paul over D'Angelo Russell for them.
I would agree. But do you think he has the playmaking?
He's shown
Coop
that
has the
ability. Did you
playmaking
watch
capability?
my segment yesterday
he
when
threw
I
the lob.
showed
He threw the one
his
lob.
playmaking? I mean, are you paying attention when we come on the set and do these things, Rick?
I don't think I was on
'Cause I
for that
showed
segment.
you-
I may have been
I
out
showed you
getting
that
something.
he has that thing that surprised me was his playmaking ability, to where he came off the pick and roll, threw lobs, found guys, threw around the back. Like he got that. I didn't, that was the thing that shocked me though. That's why I said he can get put in that role early to where you see his intangibles, which You know, a lot of people who didn't watch college
Yeah.
say they didn't know he can do all of that. And without Kyrie, without like a starting point guard, like you'll have some guys fill in that spot, but probably aren't really starting point. Like maybe I think Exum is still on the roster.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the
Like-
CP3 thing makes a lot of sense.
But he can be given a lot of responsibility to where he can really show his game on a veteran team early.
Yeah.
Well, earlier today, Rick gave his NBA comp for Cooper Flagg, and it was Paul's former teammate,
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett.
It was one. It was one of.
One of. Okay, sorry. One of the comps. Would you like to amend the comp?
No, I want to hear it all.
Yeah, no, we'll go with what I gave this morning. I'm going to do a podcast later that will give a whole different take on this.
Oh,
why I struggle.
Okay, Rick's not going to give us good content. It's fine. Fine, Rick. Whatever.
I'm going to
Save it for everyone
I'm going
else.
to amplify. But this was a
You're scared
this was
of something.
challenge.
You're
What?
scared of something.
Yeah, because I don't. It's really hard for me to put a finger on who Cooper is.
But you did it
and
this morning.
he played with one of the guys that I used as a ceiling. So right now, yes, I said coming into the show it was going to be a challenge, and this is why, because I don't know what's coming back from the other side.
Well,
so let's bring it.
You know, I mean, like I like to give comps like real comps. Like that's kind of comparable. You know, like Cooper.
Okay, wait.
As opposed to the cops that you gave.
Exactly. That was great subliminal message right
We're
there.
talking about like salmon and branzino. It's two different fishes. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, I hear you with the culinary skills.
Cooper,
Yeah.
like I want
Okay,
to,
Bobby Flay.
I want to compare him to guys that are similar in size, similar in game. Now I think you kind of compared them in like similarities in like the motor, like probably one of the
Motor,
things.
playmaking, because I don't know if you noticed, but he's a better playmaker than you realized.
No, but look, like that's why if you had been listening once again when I gave him the comparison to Karolinko, which is kind of similarity. Like, what did you say?
You're not the fun teacher anymore, by the way.
listen.
I'm getting
Think
reprimanded.
about this. Think
Were you
about-
paying attention in class?
So listen, I do pay attention to what you say, though. You said earlier, and what you said his game was going to be was what? He'll be numbers-wise, everything across the board. So who was my comparison? Andre Karolinko, right?
Yeah, that's not a very good comp. That's not a very good comp.
Oh, so you saying Andre Karolinko wasn't
He
that
wasn't
guy
play-
that put
he
up
wasn't-
numbers across the board?
He wasn't the playmaker that Coop is.
Listen, I looked up and I saw games with Karolinko, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 5 steals, 5 assists, 5 blocks. That sound like something Cooper Flagg can give you?
Yes.
That's my comparable. You know, so it makes more sense. A guy who is his size, same build, yeah, of course he didn't have the playmaking skills. And you were kind of like, didn't know Cooper
But
had
who
these
is
kind of
this,
playmaking
who is this
skills.
individual? What's the individual's name that you compared him to this morning? Because you guys are just
He
talking.
said Kevin Garnett.
The ceiling I said was Kevin Garnett.
So it's KG's
the basement
rookie
I said
season, he averaged 10 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 1.8 assists. He finished 6th.
KG?
Yeah.
So that's.
But KG is also 6'11", 240.
No,
Yeah, he
KG's
was
7 feet.
7 feet.
7 feet.
He's 7
Like
feet.
it was, they play a different position.
Cooper-
That's why I said like
Okay,
I can
and
understand.
Cooper, he prefers 6'11", and Cooper is 6'9", 205 pounds.
Yeah, so
So
like
he'll gain some weight. He'll put on
but
weight.
he's not going to grow, and he's not going to play the same position. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be more perimeter based. Whereas you know KG,
But KG played a lot of high post.
yeah, but that's not Cooper. He's going to be on the perimeter.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
It's different games,
So-
too.
Yeah, so that's why
All
I
right, so
said
who was
like
your other comp?
So the basement was Lamar Odom. The ceiling was Kevin Garnett. And the most likely was Blake Griffin, not when he came into the league, but Blake Griffin from Detroit
Jeez, you are
Pistons
just
on.
destroying his comps.
Hold on. Detroit Pistons on because as a playmaking forward, as a guy that you could play through, that's the difficulty I had
Did
is
you get your comp
finding
from ChatGPT? That's not what they said.
Catching strays, man.
that is
I'm
tough.
just trying to see. I
That
told
was
you, Rick,
tough.
Saturday at 10 o'clock. You know where to be, right?
So I have
That's
so
why I'm giving out my
KG
hot
thing-
takes.
So my
Class.
new parameters: Bam Adebayo as the ceiling. Sean Marion is another one that I had.
That's
as,
actually a good one.
oh, thank you.
That was a good because I
Thank you.
thought that too.
But
Oh, it's a good.
but Sean
That's a
is.
good one.
I think Sean's more athletic, and I don't know if he's the playmaker that.
yeah, but he had a lot of. They have a lot of the same kind of intent.
I agree. I
Except,
agree.
Like if you're missing one thing, okay, but if you got like 3 or 4 different things, that's a good comparable.
Okay. Well, you disagree. You disagree with the late career Blake as a comparison, the way he played.
I just think, like, I want to compare Cooper to more of a guy who had, like, a motor.
Blake didn't have a motor?
Huh?
Blake was a dunker.
Blake didn't play with the defensive tenacity that Cooper Flagg plays
I think
with.
later he did, because he couldn't jump out of the gym. He wasn't the same offensive guy. And he's not Cooper's not a shot blocker.
Blake is in another kind of category.
Okay. What about the Bam? What about the Bam ceiling? Because I think they're both high motor.
Yeah, Bam
not really shot blockers.
I can
Second,
see some
number
Bam.
twos offensively.
Yeah, I can see some Bam. I can see that. That's a good one.
What's wrong with the guy that played
Blake
in
was
Dallas?
26-5.
As a rookie.
I don't think he's a shooter like that.
You don't think he is?
I don't think Cooper is the shooter that Dirk was. Dirk was elite as a shooter.
No. Like, this guy, his role, because he can play a role. I'm not sure if he could be a superstar.
Yeah, I don't think he can be the number one. I think he'd be a really good number two.
Yeah, and that's why I gave him Karolinko without the play. You know, he has more playmaking. But listen, he can do it all. And if he gets in the right system, the right coaching, that's going to put a battery in his back, and it's going to be like, hey, go ahead and do you, young fella. He could become a superstar. You know, listen, you're like, you know, he's the first white #1 draft pick since '77. Did you know that?
American
white. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
White. There's a difference.
Not ancestral white.
Not as
Yeah. Ken Benson in 1977.
Wow.
Kent Benson, 1977.
Wow.
You covered him?
What do you think of what?
Did you cover him, or did y'all grow up together?
You covered Kent Benson, didn't you?
I covered his lookalike, Adam Keefe.
Adam Keefe.
How do you like that for a name?
Man.
What my one concern in the comps is his athleticism.
I
Like,
think he's like, you see how athletic he is. Think about this.
but he looks athletic at the college level.
All right, listen to this. Listen, I've watched, like, players grow. I saw Vince in high school, right? Mm-hmm. Super athletic.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Vince got more athletic
Okay.
when he, like, about 5th, 6th year in the league.
Yeah.
He got, like, the players
Took
who
another
athletic,
jump.
He hit another level. I was at my athletic peak probably, like, when I turned 29.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, these players are so young.
Yeah.
Like, his body is going to change dramatically in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
He's going to put on more muscle.
Yeah.
He's going to
But again, that's
be
what-
stronger. He
That-
will likely be quicker because of the strength that he's going to put on,
Right.
the anticipation that he will be able to develop from being at the NBA level. Like, the body control that he'll have from training up
Right.
against NBA players. The jump that these players take from 18 to, like, 21 is so dramatic.
Right.
Yeah.
They visibly look like different players.
The other part that I was trying to capture is I think he has an element of nasty and grit to him right from the start.
Pretty player.
No, I didn't say nothing. I'm just listening to you.
No.
Oh.
Joy had
What do we got?
Joy had a smile at the end of
We have
that.
to
She
add
tapped
grit.
that with a smile.
Add grit to his
Grit,
intangibles.
Grit,
Grit,
coachable,
coach,
sponge.
sponge.
Why don't we just hold that up?
He shows great morale.
Just hold that up.
Great team morale.
This is what we're
Great
talking
team
about.
morale. He rallies his
Y'all crazy, man.
Heavy player.
Heady player.
I hope the audience knows where we're going with all this.
I mean, this is the most complete player we didn't see come in quite some time. No, seriously, though. No, seriously, think about it. Like, we saw Wembanyama come in.
don't think Luka was a complete player?
He's still number one pick.
Number one.
You know, we've seen Zion come in. He still has some things to work on. Like, as the number one pick in a while, this is like the most complete player that I've seen in quite some time at the number one
He has
pick.
a great base.
Absolutely.
Some of those players that have come in have been very obviously raw.
Right. And so, like him, he's close to a finished product as far as his game. He just got to sharpen his tools, and then once you start hitting consistency, that's when you become great. When you're doing something very consistent night in and night out, where you're giving me the same product on the floor, and it's high level.
I get the feeling we're trending toward that. It used to be teams picked projects, picked physical, like they got the physical tools to be freakish, but need to be refined. And now I think we're shifting back toward we want basketball players.
It's not that we shifted back toward that because he still was a freshman coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then,
but he's got a surprisingly complete game for a freshman.
A surprisingly complete game as for a freshman. Because most of the young guys we picked them off the potential. Mm-hmm. They still had a lot of things to work on. Where his game is really defined right now.
Yep.
Will the Mavs be title contenders next season with Cooper Flagg?
It all depends on when Kyrie comes back and what he's like when he does come back. I have them as long shot contenders, but I have them in the mix. I have OKC as the reigning threat in the Western Conference to go back. I have Denver right behind them as the biggest threat to not allowing that to happen. And then I have Minnesota, Dallas, Houston. Like I got a group behind those two, but I want to put Dallas in there.
No, I'm not going to say Lakers. Why would I say Lakers? No, definitely Dallas has an opportunity to contend.
You think that Dallas has a better opportunity than the Lakers right now?
I do, because right now we got to try to figure it out. They got theirs figured out.
Damn.
This is the most sober Keyshawn I have ever
What do you mean?
heard. No,
Look, check this out.
Reality is struck hard in L.A.
But you got to be real.
Have a better chance right now than Dallas.
No, here's why you think
reality struck hard right here.
Here's why you think that, though, because they got two major stars, and that's it. And then if you want Austin Reeves, if you want to throw that in there, you know, as
you're really
as
off
a guy.
of Austin, aren't you?
Huh?
You really come off of Austin.
No, I haven't come off of him, but if we could throw him in the package to get something that we need, bye, see you later. But yes, because much like Rick stole my notes on the Kyrie situation when he comes back, maybe in January off that injury, you still got P.J. Washington, you still got Lively Gafford, you got A.D. Let's not act like A.D. If he stays healthy, it's always an if, right? Because you don't know what you're going to get night in and night out, if he's going to show up and not show up. But when he's on the floor, dude's a hell of a player, right? Obviously. And so now you add this young man to the equation and you go get you a Chris Paul, so to speak, at the guard spot. Because when you think about it, when they made that trade for Luka to AD, Kyrie got hurt.
Right.
If Kyrie was there, we don't know what Dallas would have turned out to be.
AD got hurt.
And then AD got hurt the next game.
He got hurt 2 quarters in.
Yeah, 2 quarters in.
Money after Luka got traded.
So now you think about it. If they stayed healthy, where would they have been? Now you add this kid, and I keep forgetting Klay Thompson is there. No matter what we think about his age, he still understands how to win and win big and be a major contributor. And so I think they have a chance. And it ain't nothing. I'm not off the Lakers. We're not finished yet. We got some stuff to do.
Yeah. Fair.
No, they're not a contender, not right now. Like they're a playoff threat. And like I said earlier, they need a conductor. You know what I'm saying? They don't have nobody to direct them. Like they have all these other pieces, but they need Chris Paul is not a bad look.
I was going to say, I was about to ask you what you think about that.
No, that's actually.
I don't want D'Angelo. He's going to bounce the air out of the ball. I don't want that.
Yeah, like Chris Paul, if he could, actually, high IQ. I mean, you seen what Chris Paul did for Oklahoma City. I seen what Chris Paul did for San Antonio, them young fellas.
And he's going to be tough. You know he's going to be tough on them.
You know, if he could give you a good 24 minutes and you can use the other guys for backup, it can work. Mm-hmm. You know, but you need somebody to
yeah.
Is that
make
what they
it
do?
all. The conductor. Ain't that what he is? The
conductor.
Yes, yes. They don't have that yet. But Cooper Flagg, he's good, but he's not ready to be that yet, right out the gate. Anthony Davis needs somebody to, get him in his spots. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Lively, Gafford, P.J. Washington. These guys are catching Klay Thompson. They just need that conductor. They're a piece away, and Kyrie is that guy. You know, even when Kyrie comes back, I still like Kyrie off the ball. Mm-hmm. Because that's when he's been at his best, when he's won.
Yeah. More of a 2 than a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another draftee from last night. Ace Bailey was taken 5th overall by the Jazz after a tumultuous pre-draft process that might have contributed to him falling 2 spots from a projected top 3 overall pick in terms of talent. Bailey was the only American player that hadn't conducted a single pre-draft workout and said he was surprised the Jazz picked him. Oh, what do you make of the Jazz taking Ace Bailey?
Well, first off, I want to go talk about the kid's suit. I like the suit. It was looking real spliff. The hat to the side, I guess that's what they call swag these days, or, that motion, having that motion. But I like what the Jazz did. They picked the best available player because, to me, I think he has the biggest upside of all the players in the draft. He has superstar potential, I believe. And I think that Utah Jazz, see, this is the thing about Utah. They got to build through the draft because no free agents is really going to Utah. So whenever Utah has been good and been a playoff threat or contender, it's because of the draft picks they've grown with. You know, when they had Darren Williams, then they traded for Carlos Boozer. Do I believe they traded for Carlos Boozer, or did he start there?
He signed there as a free agent.
From Cleveland, right?
Yeah, because he bounced.
Right, he bounced over there, but they built around Darren Williams. And then, you know, obviously, you know, back in the day with Karl Malone and John Stockton, they built them through the draft. And so I like this pick. You know, I know the young fella didn't really want to be there, but listen, I think this is a tremendous opportunity for him to grow, develop. You know, in some of the places I hear he wanted to go, I heard he wanted to go to Brooklyn, which hasn't been a really good organization.
Wizards is another one.
The Wizards who hasn't really been thriving of late as an organization.
You want to stay close to home.
Yeah, but sometimes that's not what's best.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is going to be a great place for him. I think Danny Ainge did a phenomenal job drafting because he drafted, what's my kid that came out of Florida?
The point guard?
The point guard. Yeah. You know, they drafted him too. Clayton, yes. And so I think they had the best draft moving forward. I love this kid's potential. I hope that, you know, something doesn't persuade him or agents to say, hey, we don't want to be here, and thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Because I've seen players that's done that, and it hasn't worked out. I think Utah's a great place. I think it's a great run organization, and you should think twice before trying to decide whether you want to be there or not.
Yeah, there's certain things that kind of worry me a little bit in terms of, he says that he didn't know that they had interest.
Well, that happens, though.
Yeah, but Utah wanted him to work. There was a bunch of teams that wanted him to work out that he wouldn't work out for. So either there's a disconnect between him and his team, or he's not being forthright in terms of what the situation was. I got to ask you, I like, for me, it just, you're right. Danny Ainge took the best available player.
As he should.
Right. I'm just wondering how you, because you've got much more experience with Danny, what do you think of the fact that this kid, by reports, didn't want to be there and Danny didn't care? He's like, I'm going to take the best player and we'll figure it out.
As a GM, your job is to try to collect the best assets. And say, like, they figure out, oh, maybe he shouldn't be here. That's a great trade piece right there. There's so many teams that want that kid to where he can package him up and possibly bring in an all-star.
No.
So, like, that's my thinking. Well, I'm going to get the best piece right here. I don't care you want to be here or not. This is the best available player at this slot. I'm taking him.
Honestly, when they took him, I thought it was to trade him to the Washington Wizards.
So now you get leverage. Yeah.
For their pick and more, because I know Washington wanted to move up to get this kid. So maybe in the future you still have that. So it just feels so very Danny Ainge-ish, just to say, I'm going to do what I think is necessary, and you know what? We'll figure out the feelings later.
Yeah. You know what? When people get drafted, a lot of the times, they don't want to go to certain places until they get drafted. And
I didn't want to go to Boston.
Exactly. And then you realize at the end,
oh, this was the place for me.
I'm getting ready to get a check. I'm good. I'm going to settle down, because it's so much that goes on, you know what I'm saying, in the beginning when you're getting ready to get drafted. So many people telling you, you're going to go here, you're going to be the third pick, you're going to be, and then all of a sudden, a team takes you out of nowhere, and you're kind of disappointed until you put that hat on. And once you put that hat on, and it's all good, then at that point, you're like, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
When did you embrace Boston?
Man, you know, I guess.
You were mad that you fell.
Yeah, I was pissed that I fell. And like him, I didn't know they had interest in me either. Like, because I didn't even work out for them at all, talk to nobody from the organization. But, like, you know, I remember getting there the first week. The first week I was there, I met Red Auerbach, and I was like, damn, that's Red Auerbach. You know, he had a cigar and everything. So it was just like, okay, my eyes got wide. I was like, man, he was like, Paul, come here. He called me over. I didn't even know he knew me. Man, I remember sitting down talking to him, and I was like, damn, you know, I'm seeing the former players. I'm seeing, you know, Cedric Maxwell. I was like, damn, you know, as much as I didn't want to be here, this is, you know, I'm a historian of the game. And I respect what Boston brought to the NBA as far as, like, the foundation of the NBA and what it's become. And so I was just like, man, this might be all right. You know, and it was just like, you know, this is tradition over here. You're looking up at the banners. You know, this is what got me into basketball, watching Celtics versus Lakers. Okay, I'm with it.
Well, it all worked out.
It did.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.